Just give me a thumbs up. Yo, no maniacs. Welcome to the show. This is Nomad Live, all bears all the time. And in the house today is my guy, my good friend, Dr. Mason West, man, clinical physical therapist, and a damn good one. I learn something every time the guy comes on the show. And today he came to educate you all about something that's been kind of plaguing the off season, and that is Kiran Amagadjie and his quad injury. And him, Dr. West, being a physical therapist, I felt like it'd be a good time to get in here and kind of give the fan base. And we're gonna talk a little bit of football because I only see 11 people in here so far. Talk a little bit of football first, but I think it's a good time. And to my understanding, they're starting to try to ramp him up, talking about Kieran and getting him involved a little bit more. But the severity and the anatomy of this injury, Doc, I'm just curious about it because I've heard of the strains, I've heard of the pulls, but a completely torn quad muscle and how you even do that playing football, I have no idea. But talk to us a little bit about the severity of the injury and just the anatomy of it, and what should we reasonably be able to expect from Kieran and his injury? Should we even expect him to play this year?
I think he can definitely play this year. So he tore the quad tendon last October, right? So we do want to differentiate. The quad tendon is the tendon that goes right from the quad, that front leg muscle, into the kneecap, versus the patellar tendon is the one that's below the kneecap, and it still creates that same pulley system. But so like I said, he tore that last October, and in general, a relatively optimistic timeline to return to sport activities, not necessarily full play, but activities, is 6 to 8 months. And, more often than not, you see it 9 to 12 months post-op. So he's right in that range right now, right? I mean, so you even heard Ryan Poles talking recently in an interview saying like, oh, maybe we'll get him September, maybe we'll get him October. And that's why, he couldn't really lock that down, because there is a range. There's a lot of different things you need to look at, a lot of measurements you need. You need to see how the leg reacts, everything like that. But like you said, it's interesting. So 50% of NFL players who experience a quad tendon rupture may never play again. But the average age of those players when it happens is around 27. Karan is significantly younger than that.
Right.
So, like you said, it's odd he had it in the first place. And, it's a little bit unprecedented that he is coming back with the age that he is. So because of that, his prognosis is a little better. As you get older, right, you see that with the, let's say the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Kirk Cousins of the world, who are getting these, you say, old man to, get the plantar of the Achilles tendon ruptures and things like that. That usually doesn't happen to someone this young. So his prognosis, because the tissues are more flexible, because, he has more aptitude to gain muscle strength back at his young age, he's more of a likelihood to have a robust career and to come back. And so, yes, I would expect him back this year. The question ends up becoming, right, how soon do you need him? You're hoping that the offensive line's healthy, and you're hoping you don't need him right away. But, I would think probably around that October-ish time would be a good time where he could come in if you need to play some swing tackle. You're probably leaning on Larry Borum initially for that. But you also look and you see you're not really full 100% until 2 years post-op. So they don't want to rush him back either, because he's going to be chilling around that 80-85%, basically from that not 10-month timeline up through that 2 year.
So so that would, and with that injury, that absolutely had to end in surgery, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so if you have a partial tear, you might be able to get away with not doing a surgery, but my from what I understand, it was a full tear. And even then, when you're, a athlete who hopes to go to the NFL like he did, the surgery really is going to be the best bang for your buck in that thought process.
Sean, do you want to ask him anything?
Yeah. So what type of, considering how far along ago that was, what type of exercises or things is he doing now to get ready? It's obviously not leg extensions or maybe leg extensions and squats or lunges. What type of stuff is he doing now to get ready? Hopefully to play in a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned that leg extension and everything. That happens a bit more probably in that 6 to 15 week range was when he started doing something like that. I mean, you're doing things like leg press, seated hamstring curl, hip abductor machine potentially. Again, it depends on your setup. I mean, it's the Bears. They're going to have everything you want under the sun.
Yeah.
Isometrics, lateral lunges, Romanian deadlift, all of that happened more in that 6 to 15 weeks. Right now, he's in a true return to sport thought process. So, he's doing run sprint programs like multi-direction movements. You're still trying to make sure the quad's at full strength. So you're still testing that continuously. You can do that different ways. Dynamometers are a good example. Like at our clinic, we use something called the Dynamo through it's a company called Vault. It gives you some really objective data of how many newtons of force you're producing. So for your, I would say everyday individual, you probably can get away with being within 20 to 15% one side to the other. For my higher level athletes, I want them within 9% at least in terms of that quad or in hamstring strength when you're doing that dynamometer. But again, yeah, you're also doing sport specific exercise. So you saw today, I know Nicholas Mariano particularly, he tweeted out that you saw him in full pads, you saw him doing some individual work. And so that's what you're doing with him. Like, so you're doing your stuff off to the side, you're still doing some of the drill work, but you're getting the individual just callousing, getting some contact. How do you move within multi-planes and trying to get him then into that true, eventually, right, 11 on 11 teamwork.
But also, I mean, how do you maintain your core? Because I mean, depending on where that is, I mean, it goes into your psoas muscle and your lower abs and things like that. If it's your quad, and you can't let that get weak, or do you have to let it get weak and then rebuild it again?
I mean, you're starting that pretty early, fortunately, when it comes to that, because in the very beginning of your rehab, kind of that first 14 or so days, you're really trying to just protect the repair. So you're not doing as much leg specific stuff as you might think. You can get away with doing some blood flow restriction training. That way you don't have to straighten and bend the knee all that much, but you can really get a lot of good early strengthening. But that's when you're starting to do some of your initial core stuff. Once you get into that 2 to 6 week, you can start to ramp that up. But you're absolutely right. I mean, for any athlete, that core is super important. But specifically, if you want to talk offensive lineman, I mean, we can connect it to another offensive lineman, Tevin Jenkins, right? He had his back surgeries, and a lot of that can go to core. So, you're looking at, I really like Pilates-esque movements, stability, length, being able to hold positions. Like, can you hold position A while moving body part B? Can you move body part B while holding, body part C? It's all of that kind of thought process. So,
right.
Especially when you're playing tackle and you're having someone bear down on you, right? Sprinting off your edge. And it's not even just, one plane, right? You're not going to just get extended. You're going to get extended and rotated, extended and side bent. So being able to maintain that stability within the core, but also be able to eccentrically or control into some of those other movements, lengthen. That oblique strength is super important, transverse abdominis. It's so that you can then transfer force from core and back down. And what a lot of people don't think about and realize, the quad muscle is a hip flexor, right? It crosses the hip and the knee. So if you don't have that good core stability, sometimes you can try to default and cheat into other muscles, overly use that psoas, overly use, the quad in that instance. And sometimes that's where the issues start in the first place. But yes, core is super, super important.
Man, you know what? You're in the West Loop, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to say this to the viewers. I ain't no genius, but I ain't no dummy either. If I was in the market for some damn physical therapy, I'm going over to the West Loop. I know expertise when I hear it. I'm no expert, but I know it when I hear it, man. That's good stuff.
Appreciate you.
Because, man, and tell them where that's Ignite. If you guys can read where is right up under him and saying Ignite Physical Therapy in the West Loop, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ignite Physical Therapy in the West Loop. If you Google that, right, it'll pop right back up. It's on Monroe Street, not too far from the United Center. It's a pretty cool setup. We're inside of a gym, so when you go in there, you just see turf and squat racks and all that. Because I mean, at least for me, my goal for most people I see, they're trying to get back to something bigger, right? They want to get back to lifting. They want to get back to some type of sport. So you better train in a place that you can do that.
You haven't been affected by the craziness from the DNC, have you?
It's crazy. It didn't affect us like at all so far. It's if anything, everyone's kind of hiding because they thought it's going to be nuts. So if there's really not a lot of traffic. There's not really anyone walking around either, though. There were a couple weird bomb threats, not in the general area, but so far there was just threats and nothing actually happened. Just people being crazy.
Well, Cornelius, yes, you missed it a little bit, but he kind of gave, like, I'll just mention this. Maybe this will help Cornelius a little bit. But I heard him mention today that he was with a physical therapist or a group of physical therapists, before he got to the Bears, and he mentioned that it was going one way, but then when he got to the Bears, it sped up quite a bit. And I think that goes to say that all physical therapy isn't the same, right? And all physical therapies and their processes aren't the same. So maybe that's what I want to say. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had someone, let's say, post ACL tear, and they come in, they're 3 months post-op, and they switch over because they're not really happy with the care they're getting. And they walk in and it looks like they're a month post-op in terms of how they're moving, their strength, their range of motion. So some of these post-operative, especially for the athletes, if you're someone, whether you're a weekend warrior who just wants to play pickup basketball all the way to a pro, a lot of individuals don't know how to properly progress and move into these people through, especially because it takes a lot of creativity, but understanding of the movements. But it also takes a little gumption to be able to push people to where they need to get. So, and no offense to anyone who is a weekend warrior. I mean, I'm in that category at this point, but you have to treat that collegiate or professional athlete definitely a bit differently in terms of where they ultimately have to get to, right? You can't softball that. So it's always potential. I don't know who was treating Kiran before he got to the Bears, but it's always possible that they were slow playing it, maybe sticking to that protocol. Because a lot of times the doc says, hey, this is the box you have to live in. And understanding like, all right, cool, I understand this is the box you have to live in, but this patient is reacting this way. So I feel like I can push them a little more, and understanding that of ultimately where they need to get to as well. So, and Paul said that recently in an interview that they're definitely being a little conservative with Kiran. Like, as I mentioned, you could potentially be back to sport activity 6 to 8 months. They decided, hey, we're going to wait closer to that 8 to 9 month. And so there's an art to being conservative, but at the same time, understanding like, hey, there's a time to push this, and there's a time to say, let's get going.
I think that's exactly the main question that I wanted to ask you. In your opinion, as a expert at this, do you feel like they have him in a good spot? You think, I'm talking about the time frame, you think based on what you know about this that they're not pushing him too much, he's probably right in the right spot, or no?
That's what it seems like to me. And the thing that's kind of not frustrating, but you have to keep in mind with it, that non-football injury list is, right, it's similar to the PUP used for players who suffered injuries outside NFL activity. So, injury in college counts as that. But if the player remains on NFI list after final cutdowns, you can be placed on the reserve NFI list, and you have to sit out the 4 games. So for them, they're trying to tread that line of, okay, this is the progress you've made. Are you in a place where we can keep you off of that list so that way you can help us in the first 4 weeks? Otherwise, right, you're having to make these roster decisions of keeping an extra tackle you didn't plan to keep. Does that roster spot end up taking away from another position group, running back room, something of that nature? And that's going to be very, very important. Now with Kiran, Poles himself said, we're listening to his body. If you all of a sudden, let's say you're doing a one-on-one drill and that night his knee gets really swollen, that was too much, right? You got to reel it back. And they're willing to do that. but you don't know if you don't try either, right? You have to try and get these steps. You have to get these sport specific movements in order to see how the body reacts. And I wish everyone reacted the exact same way. My job would be super easy, but it's not how it works.
So but can't they also be doing that too? Give him an extra 4 weeks. You know, I mean, let's be real. He's not the savior. He's not the bookend left tackle for the next 10 years. He's a guy who's going to contribute. He's a guy who could be good, but you don't really need him right now. And couldn't this be a situation where they're actually, excuse me, they're actually using that exemption to their benefit, saying, hey, yeah, still on this list, but now we get to keep you for 4 weeks, and you can really ramp it up. And at that particular point, you should be pretty good. And now we'll make a decision on who we need to cut or move, move to the practice squad or release, whatever, at that particular point. Is there a way of just kind of hiding them there?
You could, but at the same time, then they probably wouldn't have activated him off the NFI in the first place. If you truly thought, hey, we just don't need you at all, we're just going to take the safest route possible and stash you, you could have left him on that list, rode through the end of training camp, and just use those 4 weeks. And I'd push slightly back on the fact you don't need him. No, I mean, you see Braxton Jones had a little bit of injuries in training camp. Darnell Wright looked a little rough early on, and he's kind of had some stuff, whether you go back to last year or even this year. Your backup right now, swing tackle, is Larry Borum, who is inspiring nobody. You did bring in some other individuals that, again, are you super excited about them? Not particularly. Am I super comfortable with them blocking for Caleb? Not particularly. But at the same time, we haven't seen Kiran play any snap of any kind. We have no idea what kind of player he's going to be. So at this point, I believe the Bears understand they need to be able to see even what they have, right? They have to see like what Kiran can potentially do, because they have to understand not just for week 1, week 2, but even potentially week 8. Is he going to be someone that you can trust to be a swing? Because he's got no practice reps, right? I mean, he's going to be rusty as all heck. So, can you really depend on him in week 9 if you've given him absolutely nothing right now?
That's what I mean. The whole point, like even if they bring him up, or activate him or whatever. I mean, he hasn't had any practice. He hasn't gone through camp. He hasn't gone through off-season lifting. Like, where is he at physically? I mean, I guess you can continue to lift your upper body, but I mean, as a tackle, all of us on this panel know it's all in the lower extremities. You gotta have footwork, you gotta have strength, you gotta have quickness, and he's literally coming back from it. And to throw him to go from, I mean, he's not coming from Michigan or Ohio State or Florida.
Yeah, from Yale, right?
He's coming from Yale, so that's a big jump. That's a 1AA, and that's why I'm saying you keep an extra 4 weeks. Now you don't really have to push them. That's why I brought it up.
And they can always throw him back on that list, right? There's nothing preventing them, whether it's that list, whether it's the pup. I mean, heaven forbid, I don't think he'll have to go on IR just based on what he's currently at. But those first 2, you can always put him back on there. At this point, I think they're being very smart with saying, okay, let's start to slowly increase what we're asking of you, see how your body reacts. But this is also allowing them to actually start to get him some reps, get him in, potentially, right, get some of that wind back, where you're talking about cardiovascularly, where you're talking about strength wise, whether you're talking about muscle memory wise. So I think they're handling this in a very smart way.
All right, let me ask you, man, because it's enough of this Kiran Amagadjie stuff. We got him on the field. Hopefully we can get some good reps out of this dude. I think he can contribute if they continue to work on him, keep him on the process. I don't know how soon, but I'd love to see him get out there and get some real. Like, I don't think he's going to play Saturday or anything like that, but, I would love to see him contribute this year. Why? Because we might go into a situation in the draft where we're still not sure about what the hell we have, and they might have to go back in at tackle. That's one of the reasons. But, Doc, you haven't been here since the draft, during the draft, I think, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so all this stuff that's been going on, man, we haven't had a chance to really talk some football. Give me some stuff that's really stuck out to you per the reporting, or anything you saw, anything somebody told you, what is really sticking out to you, like pleasant surprises?
Like, from a positive perspective, this may not be a surprise to anyone, but Rome Odunze is as advertised, just in terms of not just what he does on the field, because we saw that like last Saturday, like what he was able to do. Obviously, he needs to understand where the lines are in Soldier Field, but that's a
they need to paint him correctly. That's what they need.
That would also help if you actually put the right the right paints out there. But also just how he carries himself as a person, right? I think there's a lot of receivers out there. One who was just recently drafted by the Giants, that if you had to not just share the spotlight, but take a backseat to a Caleb Williams that Rome essentially has to do, they wouldn't be super happy. We know receivers can be a little melodramatic and they can be a bit of
Diva-ish.
and that's not Rome, right? Rome is just, tell me to jump how high. He's there. He seems like a great teammate. He seems like a guy who's just literally there for the work and a guy that loves football. So Rome is better than advertised from that perspective. I think in terms of some positive surprises, how good this defense is coming together. You're hearing reports about how well they played against the first string Bengals team in practice, and that makes you feel better about what Caleb's been doing, right? Because he's getting these exotic looks and having to play against the Tyreek Stevensons, right, and the Jalen Johnsons and the Montez Sweats of the world. And then now when he's going out there and playing against these other opponents, he's already looked against a very good defense. So it makes me feel good that he's able to. It's the whole iron sharpens iron thing, that he's able to play against this team. And that in theory, when the season starts, that this defense should be rolling. Now, there's still some question marks, of course, but for the most part, that defense, 80 to 85% of it, you're like pretty happy with. The offensive line, you wish you were more confident that everyone will be there come week one. But it seems like at this point, they're locking down Coleman Shelton as their center. People don't realize Coleman Shelton, Ryan Bates, right? They snap the ball differently, lefty and righty. That's different. That affects your quarterback. So at this point in time, I'd be very surprised if Ryan Bates actually starts at center, just because if you're Caleb, you need to have a consistent center that you can work on your cadence with, that you can work on that snap with, and you can't really shift it. Unfortunately for Ryan, just between the Nate Davis issues and between Ryan Bates getting hurt, he kind of got left in the dust a little bit.
Well, I know you only have 20 minutes, you promised, and I promise I'll get you out of here. But I do have one more quick question. How do you feel about, like, I'm jaded about Caleb not taking snaps in this last game, but I understand why they're not giving them to him and not playing him. How do you feel about that? Are you comfortable with the amount of reps he got in this preseason?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I know I was a little late today, so I'm gonna give you more time. whatever, maybe another.
No, it's all good, man.
5-10 minutes here, but as a fan, I want to see him play because I'm selfish and I want to see him play. I also do think that more snaps as a rookie is better. That being said, it's not like a short week, but it's a short-ish week going from Saturday to Thursday. So I understand that. And it's not just the Caleb thing, right? It's the rest of the team. Do you want the offensive line starters out there too? Do you want to give them a break? I'm definitely I know, like, when I go play pickup basketball and I take 2 weeks off, even if I'm doing drills, like, I feel a little rusty after 2 weeks. So I'd like them out there personally, but I understand why they're not. They got extra time because of the Hall of Fame game and everything, got extra practice. So, again, selfishly, I want them out there, but it logically makes sense to not.
Look at this, Doc, because your boy, you might have to respond to that. Everybody saw that on Twitter. You might want to speak to that right quick.
So if you look at it purely from a value, right? A player that you got for nothing, undrafted free agent that you could get a 4th round pick out of. In theory, that makes sense. But sometimes it's more than the value. It's not just, playing Madden where you're subbing guys in and out and trying to flip people. Does Tyson Bagent have still room to grow? Absolutely. I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions last year. It's not exactly amazing production. But when you have a guy who's cost controlled, you're paying him as an undrafted free agent who is looking good, as you currently have said, that's going to be very helpful for you, right? Because even like a backup quarterback, still it's going to take some extra cash from you. And at the same time, a guy that has the ability to move and run like Bagent does, who has room for growth because he is only in his 2nd year. There are just certain things that are worth more to keep within your team than like a draft pick would be. I'm also someone, like, no offense to any of our current, like, our other 4th round picks, like, I don't know. Tyler Scott looks okay-ish. And I was a big Roschon guy, but unfortunately that concussion really set him back. It seems like he's been okay-ish, right? He's now the 3rd running back for you. The 4th round pick sounds great, but at the same, it's that whole Family Guy meme where it's like you got the box and it's what's in the box. It could be anything, right? It could be a insert thing here, Tyson Bagent. It's like you already have him in your building. Why do we need to mess with that? So for me, I just can't. I wouldn't flip him for a 4th rounder. I mean, if you like swept me off my feet with a 3rd, like I'd consider it. But at some point, you need players, and he's a cost-controlled, so far solid backup.
And not just that, you're right. Like he's won games. Like he's familiar. But you don't, if you bring someone else in, I mean, what value you're going to get from that person? Is that person going to contribute? Tyson Bagent at the drop of a dime in an injury, the NFL is not for long. Caleb could go out for a game or 2 or 3 or 4 like Justin did last year. And I think everybody in Bear Nation is more than comfortable putting Tyson Bagent in to start for a short 2, 3, 4, 5 games as a backup, as a stopgap, and we have a great chance to win. So is that 4th round pick that you get for him? Is he going to give you a great chance to win, as good a chance to win as Tyson Bagent? I don't think so.
If you got Ryan Tannehill out there, he's out there still.
But he's not familiar with this offense.
No, he knows the West Coast offense.
I hear you.
He knows the West Coast. It's just what you have to pay Ryan Tannehill versus keeping a guy on a rookie deal. You know what I mean? But I always thought, Sean, I've said this all offseason. I thought the minute Gesty got that job, if they ran into a quarterback struggle during this camp, and it sounds like they do have some kind of situation down there, that they probably, it's going to be the coordinator's choice. Like, who do you want? You got these 2 guys here, these 3 guys here. Would you like for us to make a move? And I'm sure that's probably the first guy he'd go after. And so I always thought there was a possibility there. And that's just me,
And it's interesting. So recently, Kirk Cousins went on, did an interview where he talked about the differences between playing with and for Kevin O'Connell and a Zach Robinson, who's currently the offensive coordinator for his current team, the Falcons. And he was talking about how even though Zach Robinson is the same offense, right, the same tree, how all like the wording is so different, and there's little inflections here and there. And so for Kirk Cousins, it's been a bit of a challenge to shift from the Kevin O'Connell playbook over to the Zach Robinson playbook, even though it was still like the same, again, family tree, same offense, more or less. So, to the point of bringing in Ryan Tannehill, I mean, yeah, he's familiar with the West Coast offense, but I mean, you're starting from square one in terms of things like the verbiage, in terms of the camaraderie in the locker room, and just everything in between. So at this point in time, if you did move on from a Bagent, which I wouldn't, you're rolling with Rippon. Just because of familiarity with literally being in the building. Plus, Rippon's also looked pretty solid. So
yes.
The Bears have QB depth, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
Would you keep him as that 50, and hide him on the practice squad?
So I'm, again, biased and want to look selfishly here. There is one player I'm trying to force in the universe to be on this final 53. And yes, you have the change in the rules where you can keep, an extra quarterback. The emergency one doesn't count against it, and you can activate them game day, yada, yada, yada. But, any position that you're keeping extra is taking away from this player's spot. And I want him on the team. So I'm worried that if you kept Rippon, that'd be tough. So I'd hope to get him to the practice squad.
Who's that dude?
I'm all about Ian Wheeler. I think that he's a guy that gives you a lot in terms of special teams as a returner, which he hasn't had a chance to really do yet, because again, the Bears have depth at returner. There's actually a lot of guys who can do that. But he's fast. He's very smart. He graduated with a master's in psychology. He plans to actually go and get his PhD once he finishes up and hangs up the cleats finally. But I'm not sure exactly how the running back room is going to pan out, but Herbert's in the last year of his deal. Do you sign him to an extension? My guess is no, just in terms of how the running back market is. Again, you don't know what you really have ultimately in Roschon. You have this Velus Jones Jr. experiment going on at running back, but I just think he brings you a cost-controlled, very smart, fast, explosive guy that can play in 2 different phases of the game. And again, I'm also selfishly doing this because I interviewed him and he's just a really cool dude.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I could tell you guys were gelling, man. Listen, I watched that interview, man. That was some pretty cool stuff. But listen, man, this is officially the last one, man. We'll let you go.
For real, the last one.
What happened? What did you think? And what was your mindset and your way of thinking about what you've seen as far as these edge rushers versus the news that broke that we were actually after Matthew Judon? Do you agree with that? And tell me how you feel about it. Did you have any difficulties with that or no?
From a very positive spin, I would say it makes me happy that Ryan Poles is, is the joke, like almost like that he's always on the phone, right? He's constantly picking up the phone and inquiring, because we've had front offices in the past where it seems like you kind of sit on your hands and saying, nope, what we have is good enough. And he is saying, even if you do think what you have is good enough and you want to see what happens, like, I'm excited to see what happens with Austin Booker. I think the Max Crosby comparisons are a little nuts right now, but he definitely has something there. And if you do go trade for someone, sign someone, you are probably taking away some snaps from an Austin Booker, a Hardy, one of those kinds of guys. But at the same time, like I said, I am very excited about the prospect of always trying to improve your team. It also tells me that Poles thinks very highly of the current setup that the Bears have. Like, you're not going to go out and trade Fred Judon if you don't think Caleb is the dude, if you don't think your offense is going to produce, if you don't think your defense is good.
Exactly.
And so the mentality is there. I'm happy that they didn't end up trading a third. I think a third is a little expensive. It seems like Judon also wants to, at this point, just be a rental, hit free agency, and figure itself out after. So I don't want to necessarily flip a third for a guy that's his age for a 1-year rental. But, you never know, right? Maybe you get closer to the trade deadline. With that DJ Moore contract, they actually create some more cap room. Maybe you can flip a third or a second if there is a player out there that is not quite happy with his situation. A team seems like they need to hit the reset button, and yeah, you can go get an edge. What I will say is, I don't need to go get a Yannick Ngakoue at this point. I mean, it's just the body taking up snaps from, again, I want to see some of these younger guys just get more reps and develop more. So no offense to Yannick, I don't personally need that, unless your idea is to truly put him, hey, you're just it's third and we're going to let you pin your ears back because Austin Booker, because Walker, whoever needs a break. But I just don't want him blocking their development.
I think that's the main thing for me. When I think about him, I'm jaded. When I say I'm jaded, I'm literally 50-50, because I'm never going to be against trying to improve this roster. And you can get a home run hitter on the other side of Montez Sweat. We cooking with some fish grease, Jack. And but at the same time, I said it from the beginning, I probably would have been 100% with getting that guy had it not been for me watching this young Austin Booker start to ascend right away.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want to get in the way of that growth. And that's got to be a consideration with Poles, man. But Doc, man, it's always fun having you here. Whenever you leave here, I felt like I put a feather in my cap. I got a little bit smarter somewhere, somehow. But, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on and spending your time with us. But you can't leave without letting everybody know what you do and where you're at and, what's going on with you moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so Dr. Mason West, Dr. Physical Therapy. I tend to work with, more athletes in general, everything from someone who wants to play, in a volleyball league on the weekends, all the way to, a couple, some college and professionals individuals. So anywhere in between. I always like to push that. Yes, people think of physical therapy as just rehab, but we're at the point now with how direct access is that you can just go to a physical therapist if you're saying like, hey, I just think I need a little extra. So it's performance too. I got some guys and gals in my clinic that they're just saying, hey, my left leg it doesn't feel like it's pushing quite as much as my right, or I want to see. Like, we have some great tools to assess, give you objective measures of jump velocity, of the force you're producing, show symmetry, really show how good of an athlete you are. And we can do that as just a one-off session, or you can come in and we can do it as a session and then work on it and try to improve it. So whether it's with myself or if it's with other individuals, go ahead and do that. You mentioned earlier, I'm in the West Loop of Chicago, on Monroe Street. Work out of a pretty cool little cool gym. We got everything you'd need there: squat racks, free weights, everything in between, turf. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Hey man, if you guys know what I know, if you're out there, if you're listening, I don't care how you're getting this podcast. If you're an athlete yourself, or if you have children that you want to put a little bit of extra in, my suggestion is to talk to this guy, get in contact with him, go down there if you can, and see what the facility is like, and give this guy a shot, man, because that I just hear expertise, and I know it when I hear it. I've had a really good trainer before, and I appreciate you, Doc. I really do, and I think anybody that needs that kind of therapy or training, I think they would too, man. So appreciate you for being here. Don't forget, you guys, check him out down at Ignite Physical Therapy in the West Loop, and he is on Twitter at West Sports PT. So that being said, Doc, thank you for coming, man. I'll holler at you soon on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Y'all enjoy Hard Knocks tonight.
We're going
to react to that show tonight too. All right, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah.
All right. That was Dr. Mason West, man. Second City Gridiron, man. I love this guy, man, because every time I reach out to him, he's always there. Whenever there's an injury, he let me know, man. Just reach out to me if you need to bring me on and talk to the fans about whatever's going on, man. Just let me know. And he never hesitates, man. He lets me know what he's doing, and hey, we'll schedule something and work it out. But man, can you hear expertise in the way he described this shit, Sean, or is it just me?
No, he's good at what he does. So, you know, and then obviously playing football for so long and having some nagging injuries, I was very fortunate never to have a really bad injury. One surgery in my extensive career, and I was back playing within 4 weeks. So, but I've seen and heard a lot of other stuff. I coached, and you hear the same thing over, and he's saying all the right stuff, man. It sounds like he knows what he's doing, man. He's good at what he does. So
he sounds just like my physical therapist when I was in college, man. I never knew what guys like that were even worth to a team until I walked into college with a leftover high ankle sprain from something I did right before I went to my freshman year. Man, that dude worked me. He is like, you got to go through some pain, man. You want to hurry up and get on the field, you're going to have to. That's the easiest way to tell you, son. You're just going to have to put up with some pain. And I was just like, what kind of pain? He was just like, he pulled out his little graph, his little chart, and he put it past 10. He said, I'm going to hurt your ass. That's basically what he said. So I can appreciate a good physical therapist, one that really pushes you, because he's really trying to get you where you want to go in the best way possible without literally hurting you.
Yeah.
But Sean, man, hey, kids, man, what's going on, man?
Kids in the building.
Kids in the building. Yo, I was just hanging out with these no maniacs, chopping it up on some fantasy football. I'm glad Dr. Mason West got to come through and give us the thumbs up. Right? Sounds like Kiran is on his way. Apparently, he hasn't missed a mental rep all this time, including the mental rep. Right, including the mental reps concerning the cymbal playing. He was all in and did extra studies by way of rocking those two miniature cymbals. It's a tricky deal, the cymbals, but he's dedicated, and that's what I want to hear. He's a dedicated guy. I'm messing around, but at the end of the day, I actually read a little bit about him, and that's actually the best word to use. He's a very dedicated individual. He's about football. He likes football too. And I think that should be not only a T-shirt for this team, but I think it's a bit of a running theme. So I'm pulling for the kid, man. We need some depth back there.
I was talking to a guy on Twitter, and we were talking about Kiran, and it came out that he was, you listen, and I finally got to look at the Pose interview with Hogan Johns, and he was talking about, he mentioned mental health, talking about Kiran and him dealing with his recovery and all that. And I guess that played a factor in when they wanted to put him back out there. But I can remember, and I had never been without football really ever until that injury, man. Until that injury, when I couldn't get on the field, those are the longest 3 weeks of my life. I felt dead on the inside, dude. I really did. I was like, I could not tolerate. I almost didn't want to be at practice. It was eating me up that bad. I was like, come on, man. I can be out here making this play or doing this, doing that. It was tearing me apart on the inside. We talking about he's been out for how long? He's been out
since October, bro. I think that was the word that I got. And that's a while. And Caleb said it himself. He's like, I haven't played football against real competition since November. So getting on the field was awesome. That was his comments the other day. It's been October since this young man's been on the field, and even Caleb's been practicing for the last 3 to 5 months, right? So, man, he's finally getting back out there, getting his leg back in shape, and starting to put into practice a lot of those mental reps, the understanding of the scheme that he'll be rocking in. So, I'm impressed, and I'm pulling for the kid. Hopefully, all goes well, because like I was saying, any additional depth that we can service on that line will go a very long way this season.
Hey, kid, you want to know what my girlfriend told me when I was out for them 3 weeks? She was just like, dude, I'll be so glad when you get your ass back on the football field because you know my fucking nerves. That's what she said to me. I was just like, am I that bad? She was like, you horrible when you can't play football. You are horrible, dude.
Yeah.
You ever had that, Sean?
Yeah, bro. But right before my senior year, man, it really hurt my chances. About a week and a half, 2 weeks before I was supposed to report. Now, mind you, we had a new head coach. My coach for my first 3 years, Mark Duffner, left Holy Cross to go to Maryland. And so we had a brand new coach. And, you know, you coming in, you don't really care, but you need the seniors, but you don't really care about them. Like if they leave, you know, I mean, he was just a jag. He was a freaking jag bag. Right?
It happens, right? Sometimes that's
boss. And I'll never forget, he holds the interception record at Holy Cross. He's a Holy Cross grad, and he was just an arrogant prick, man. And he was the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame the year before. And I can't tell you how many times he told us he called the play in the Sugar Bowl where Jerome Bettis ran wild up the side. With that being said, so I'm warming up, and this is my new head coach. Obviously, we had spring ball with him. It's a whole different feel than my previous 3 years. And a week and a half, 10 days or so before I'm about to report, I strained my back. And I literally just warming up at 135. Now, mind you, I'm in tip-top shape. I'm squatting 500, 600 pounds. All right. I don't know what the hell I did. I had 135 on, and just, oh, what the hell? And I just felt it, and I couldn't. So the last 10 days and probably the first week and a half of camp, another 10 days, I just couldn't play. And it was, you talk about frustrating, Nomad. I mean, you see all the guys, and I'm losing reps, I'm losing time, and man, it was just, I was not a nice person. I was, there's nothing I could do. You know, it's not like, let me try to get out. When your back's messed up, man, you ain't no trying when your back's jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no, like a knee, ankle. You know what I mean? Like, I'll try and hop on it and look. No, if I can't move, I can't. I'm a running back, dude. There's nothing there's no way. So I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. That 3 weeks to a month. Not good, bro. Not good.
Man, dude, there's all right, man. Because let's read the room, man. They want to talk about some Bears, not our old ass injuries and shit. But listen, I told Doc, man, I'm jaded about the not playing certain starters, and that pretty much sounds to me like pretty much all of them ain't gonna play. Probably be a couple of them on the defense, maybe. I don't know what they're looking for, but I'm jaded about that. He got somewhere in between 42, 45 snaps talking about.
Yeah, it's 43.
Yeah. So kids, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's enough? Did you see enough? And if not, man, how do you feel about this?
All right, I'm gonna ask some questions. You're asking questions, I'm gonna ask some questions too. Is Kansas City playing their starters?
Probably not.
I don't give a shit.
They've been in the same system for about 6 years, 7 years with the same quarterback. What? At least 4 or 5 years.
Just a question. That's number one. I think I'm fine with them not playing the starters against the Super Bowl champions. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I know you, Sean. I'll let you go, bro, when you go. But I'm okay with it. Does he need the reps? Does a lot of folks need the reps? Yes. Mind you, I don't mind them evaluating second team at this point. I think they might have an idea as to what they have, and I think it looks good. Do they need live reps against another team? Absolutely, but maybe not the Super Bowl champions.
My guy Matt Brown is here. Glad to see you here, Matt. Man, he's he's going to the game, and I know from that standpoint, people that went and paid money to get to this game, to go to this game, they want to see a certain something. You know, for us that's sitting on the fringes watching it on TV, it really is for me more about wanting to see some of these fringe guys on the roster. Do they have enough to cross the threshold?
Yeah, so that works.
That's what it is for me.
That works for me. Those guys are going to be there.
What do you need, bro? We got 4 games. All right, we've had 4 games. You had 1 game, and this is the whole thing. When the NFL did everything they could for the Bears. Okay, once you put them in the Hall of Fame game, that opens up the fact that now you get early practices. All right, you get to practice a lot earlier, and then they give you an extra game. They didn't even use that. They didn't even use the extra game, which pissed me off. And then for them to sit this one, so now you're only playing 2. You was gifted that 4 games. You should have done it just like in the past. First game, second game, third game you play the most, fourth game you sit. If they did it that way, I'd have no problem with them not playing. But, dude, come on, man. Give this dude reps. I talked about it. There are a number of ways to make sure he doesn't get sacked. All right, make sure hit those short game. All right, hit the short game, play action, get him out of the pocket, move him around. There's ways you can kind of limit the amount of hits he's going to get. I don't care who Kansas City puts out there, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It doesn't matter. It's not about them. It's about us and the chemistry and the timing and the comfort and the reps. And that's what bugged me. You're gifted the Hall of Fame game, more practices and more games. He didn't use it. Not happy.
What say you, country Santa, man? You just popped into the show again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Something popped up that I had to take care of right before we was going on. I apologize to you, Nomad, the panel, and everybody in chat, but everything's taken care of. Everything's all right. Just hearing a little bit, I pretty much agree with Sean with, and we talked about this from the get-go with, the Hall of Fame game when they said they was going to rest starters. Why the hell would you do that when you got a new offensive coordinator that's trying to implement his system? You got a rookie quarterback. You've had offensive line where 2 of your starters has been kind of iffy with health. You're getting this gift from the NFL, a 4th preseason game. Why not take advantage of it? And they're saying, no, thank you. It's idiotic, but that's why I'm a couch potato and those guys are GMs and head coaches.
You know what, man? I'm going to give you guys my take here, man, because here's why I'm talking about Caleb in particular. And here's the only question mark I have, because I only seen him make maybe 2 really good plays within the structure inside the pocket. Most everything else I saw was him out of containment, rollouts, and broken plays and things like that. The kind of stuff that you expect to see. Caleb's got that kind of wild ass playability, man. You love that about his game. But talking about playing on time in the pocket, that's the that's one of the things that gives me caution. Did he get enough reps? And did they kind of, I think at this point, with that extra game, I think they could have designed some stuff like, man, listen, doesn't matter if it goes well or not. Stay within the structure, stay within the pocket, and let's see if you can read the structure of this defense and make a play off of it. That's me. But apparently, guys, I feel like the team would know more than we would. Of course, they're watching them every day in practice, and they feel good about where they are. Flu said that, and I got to take the man at his word. You know what I mean? And I do understand the aspect of, okay, we got to the end of preseason. We got through training camp, no major injuries. Let's keep a good thing going, and let's go into week 1 healthy. I think everybody can understand that part of it too. Can they not, kids?
Well, all I know is me and Sean are the 2 smartest people I know, and we agree. So obviously the Bears are wrong. Fuck them. I'm sorry. The hell with them.
I'm wrong too. I was just cut out. I'm wrong too. I don't. Like I say, I'm not. Early in the preseason, I wanted him to play him in the Hall of Fame game. That was me. I thought that those reps were important. I've seen him these last 2 weeks. I've seen incremental growth. I hope that continues. I don't expect it not to continue. More reps is better. But I do think, again, against the Chiefs, as well as, the fact that it gives them the opportunity to evaluate the second team, the rest of the team, I think there might be 4
games. You had 4 games to evaluate the second team, a whole game more than everybody else, and you didn't play them in the first game. So they had a whole entire 60 minutes, 4 quarters of evaluation time.
Yeah, but this might just be like some of these battles are tight, Sean. Like the edge rusher battle is pretty tight.
Nickel
I
corner.
think the running back room is a little bit tighter than everybody's giving it credence.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What
You
now?
know, wide receiver room's a little bit tight. Like, I think all these things need evaluation. The quarterback definitely does, but I wouldn't want him out there playing with the second team either. Right. So yeah, I'm fine with it.
So, you know what? I think we're about 50-50 on it. You know what I mean? I can understand either way. They, like I said, they're in practice looking at this dude every day. They feel good about where he is, and the only thing you can do is trust them. And, because I definitely have my opinion. If from the outside looking in, I'd say play him at least a half and get him some more snaps. But like you said, you just, too many snaps is too many snaps. Everybody needs to get into this week one. And when the game counts, we need to get that dub week one. I like the fact that we're healthy and we're going into this shit healthy. I mean, with nobody majorly injured, knock on wood. However, guys, the first time, well, not the first time, but it was a real humbug out there today, I hear. And that, to me, and I know Sean is going to know exactly where I'm going here, but I'm going to say it. But that's what coach knows, especially a defensive coach, when that defense is real chippy like there, and they'll get into a humbug like that. I heard it was fist flying. I heard of fist flying, helmets off, the whole 9 yards, man. Javon Dexter was in it. I guess it started with Javon Dexter. I seen a couple of videos. My guy Lester Wilfong put a couple of videos out, man. But it started with Ian Wheeler coming down on a stretch run, and Javon Dexter scraped down the line and gave him a tap, and he went flying, and something started there. But the very next play, it was a whole other thing. Bayless got hit, and it was a whole brouhaha out there. But I saw Flus's reaction to the whole thing, and I've seen coaches when they know that a team is ready to go. When it starts getting like that, when you can't hardly even stand each other no more, you can't wait to get your hands on the opponent. That's exactly what you want, man. So kids, I know a lot of people are like, man, they can't be out there fighting. They're fighting each other, their teammates. But as a football player, I know you need a certain level of that going on, especially going into week one.
Competition's getting real, right? That's what's happening. These guys are going up against each other. Iron is sharpening iron, and I think everybody's actually getting better because of it. I was a little bit worried towards the beginning of this preseason about, maybe it was a little bit much for the rookie to handle, but I think he's handling it. I think the rest of the team is handling it, and I think they're going to be better for it across the board, yo. So, as long as there's no, long-term inter-team, hatred, you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as everybody's cool, like, get at it, get after it, get it done. I'm actually pleased with it too. Sean, what do you think?
They're sick and tired of each other. Nothing more, nothing less. Sick and tired of each other. Again, so why don't you play them? You know what I mean? Like, that's an itch that needs to be scratched on the field. All right. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Play it. You should be playing again. It has nothing to do with Kansas City. You want to play your second team? No problem. That's on you. But I need reps for my guy, even if it's one quarter. All right. He needs reps. He's not going to. It'll be what, 3 weeks? Well, it's 2 weeks. It'll be almost 4 weeks that he'll be in live game action. You know what I mean? So, yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
Oh, let's see. They've been practicing, about 3 weeks or so, and now they're starting to get in a fight. Yeah, that sounds about right. My honeymoon, and about 3 weeks later, I was tired of being married. I was looking for all the overtime that I could get so I wouldn't be at home. She had the same philosophy. We just more or less would cross when we was waking up, going to work, or coming home.
Two ships passing in the night.
Yeah. Well, I try to keep my dinghy in dock, but no, but that's what Nomad is saying, right? I'm sure that Flus and both coordinators are thinking, yeah, well, these guys are prime. you're almost glad to see the skirmishes because it's like sibling rivalry. And Thursday night's game could be interesting because you're going to have guys that are on the bubble that they know they have to produce. And like I said, they're tired of hitting their teammates. So it could be fun.
Yeah, it's definitely how can I best say this, man? There's definitely a time limit. You gotta see you being around, like Matt just said, and let me put that back up here. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is a lot of time together for 5 weeks. You're damn right about that. And after a while, you might have been friends with somebody at the very beginning. Now you're starting to really get to know this MFer, and this is like, all right, man, I'm giving you one, man, because I'm tired of you. You know what I mean? It's just little stuff that human, especially guys with all that testosterone.
You took that last cinnamon roll at breakfast, or
Get him. It's my cinnamon roll.
Yeah, man. So I remember that feeling, man. I know exactly what that feels like. It's just like, all right, man, this enough of this, man. They ready to play right now, man. So we don't really even need this last preseason game. I think this team is ready to play week 1 football right now. You know what I mean? So as far as the mentality goes, and that's like half the game is being mentally ready. Physically ready is important, but being mentally ready for a whole 17, 18 weeks is tough, man. You know what I mean? Because you got to keep bouncing back from opponent to opponent and studying this team and this individual player and his skill set and all that kind of stuff. It's going to get fresh again for him, man. And that's what these guys sign up and get the big money for, is to prepare, train, and get ready for those week-to-week challenges, man. So they are definitely tired of each other. But I was damn happy to hear about the scuffing out there, man, because I know there's a certain level that you got to have in order to get a team ready after that much time.
One of the things when Junior and I were teammates, the season never really started until Junior got into a fight in camp.
You said that before.
Time it with a stopwatch, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and that was it. And even the general manager, like, all right, Junior, I need you to start a fight. We're talking a little bit. We need everybody up and get ready for the season. And sure enough, Junior.
Wait, Sean, you got to repeat that again, because that might be hard for some people to believe that a coach would tell a player to do.
Oh, the GM owner was like, hey, you go, start a fight with somebody, and it came from the top. Like, we really got to get everybody on 10. And sure enough, that practice, someone hit Junior a little too hard, or he just picked it. This is a good play. And Junior smacks someone in the face, man. Get the fuck out of here. Because he's very nasally. Get out of here. Leave my cornerback alone. And
what's funny about it, Sean? I don't know about you and your experiences, but I've never once, not a once, all the crazy fights and humbugs I've seen on the field, I've never seen one get carried over. It's like once we done and took a shower, we out and about. It's like it never even happened, man.
If it's our team, no, you find after practice, they're just, hey, bro, I was just messing. I know, it ain't no biggie, bro. It's just, you want a beer? Yeah, I got a beer. You know what I mean? It was just literally like that. So, but yeah, Junior would start, he'd hit someone, or he'd take a cheap shot, and nothing too crazy, nothing that's gonna hurt anybody, but he'd grab someone by the face mask and throw him down. And, if it's a young buck, you go, what are you doing? Shut up, Rocky. Shut up. And then, the dude would stand up and, not trying to get punked. He'd get up there. Junior would smack him in the face mask again, just shove him back, muffle him. And that was it. It'd be on. Or he'd hit it with another one of the veterans. He'd do it with one of my guy, Corey. He would do something with him. And,
you got a list, right? You got a list.
And I obviously I was never in the middle. I was like, here we go. It's time for the season to start. Okay.
Yeah, there goes Junior again. We're good to go.
That's what you need, man. It was great. I do remember once when one was getting ready to spill over into the locker room, and we stopped all that, man. It was times when, like all right, let me put it in this perspective. it could spill over into the locker room. As soon as we get off the field, it goes into the locker room. They still chirping a little bit. Like we had one of them teams, like close the doors, don't let the coaches in, clear out the space, let them go, get it over with. We had that kind of team. But then it was times when if it's continuous and it keeps on happening, no, that's over, man. Y'all finna work this out and we finna get to the bottom of it. That's it. But once we left the facility, that was it. Everybody knew to drop that shit right there at the door. It's time to go relax. We ain't thinking about none of that stuff until
that's probably the difference between being competitive day in, day out of beating each other up and then being a cancer in the locker room. A cancer is a whole different, somebody that's trying to start trouble against the team. That's an entirely different kettle of fish.
Yeah, you got personality types and people that don't want to give an inch. And you got two dudes like that, and they constantly went at it and got into it a couple times on the field. Yeah, they're gonna chirp a little bit in the locker room, and if you don't get in between them, they'll start busting. Period. And that's just all it is to it. Till you get some leadership going on, man. You saw that stuff like, man, shake hands. It's over with, man. Because when we leave here, we're going to get a keg and we're gonna drink. That's what we're gonna do. But that being said, man, listen, man, I don't want to stay too long. You know why? Because you guys are getting a double dose of the Nomad Network tonight because we're going to react Hard Knocks again tonight. And me and Ked are going to get in the green room and watch the show, and we're going to jump out there and tell you guys what we saw.
All right, better's odds on what time Hard Knocks starts today.
Ooh, I'm going to say they're
who's taking bets?
going to be right on time today because they got a lot to lose.
Who's taking bets? I'm taking bets, yo. I say 9:05.
Hey, Matt, you know what? What's funny about that is the whole camp.
Gonna be late.
The whole
I don't know why.
The whole camp, Matt. He's been playing on the other side of Tevin Jenkins, so he's been 3-teching on the other side, and I think they're just now starting to rotate him over there and letting him get after Tevin Jenkins a little bit. I think we would have seen a fight up to this point if it had been. So yeah. But with that being said, kids, let's give some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here.
King Booker World. Yo, shout out King Booker. You're too much, man. Your jokes. I'm not even gonna do it. I give this guy enough grief. Miss Matt Brown, thanks for representing with us today. City Streets TV came through for a little bit. Jason UK Bears, Mr. Mayhem's out there. Alfred Lyman, Dr. Earl, AC Adam, Junior was with us, and then Sean talked trash about Junior, and then Junior left. But Junior will be back later on, I'm sure. Jigsaw, Cornelia Squalls, number 2, No Maniac. Who else we got out there? Patty Laura was with us. Hey, Patty. Don Byrne, no love for you, Don. Joseph Archer was with us today. James Hunter, Jay Grizz, Dante Purify, Joseph Belinsky, and Sean Sierra. I'm going to throw it down to my guy, the Superback. What it do?
And the guy Sean Sierra is a jerk.
Well, he's iffy. It's that damn Greg.
Man, Greg's a real character, I'll tell you.
Yeah, always asking the tough questions.
Hey, sports owners and No Maniacs Unite.
Look at Junior.
It does not sound like me. Oh, yes, it does, dude. I am the master of
He's gonna whoop your ass when he see you, man.
No, he's not. He's got a bad back. He ain't doing shit. Catch me. Come on, catch me.
Oh, you're cold.
That's vicious.
Hey, he wanted to bring up the pirate thing on my show yesterday. So now I gotta. Yeah, I'm gonna take my shots when I get them. But anyway, great talking to Dr. West is in the building. Great stuff, and good talking to him as always, man. And good talking Bears with you guys on the panel. The chat was live as always, and appreciate you guys, all your efforts, man. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago YouTube channel. It's free $99 to subscribe. So we're getting the numbers up, and we're doing a lot of stuff. So make sure you spread the word. All right, call your mothers, call your fathers, call your brothers, call your sisters. Let them know. Follow Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Country Santa.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about being late. I'm also apologize if I got a little overzealous and used salty language. I was just being
Bad
excited.
Santa.
Yeah, bad.
I've been waiting weeks to say that. So there's that. Anyways.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's podcast. I'll be there, and also looking forward to Thursday night. Always great getting with the guys on the panel and sharing time with the No Maniacs and Sports Owners. It's always a hoot. Nomad.
Hey man, appreciate you guys for being here. We haven't done a Nomad Live in quite a couple of weeks here, man, and it was nice getting back on here with the Super Back, and then having Mason, Dr. West, come on. My guy gave me some good clarity. Hopefully, he gave you guys some good clarity on Kiran's injury, man. I got some in-depth detail about it and the rehab process that I didn't quite understand or didn't know, and so I appreciate him for that. So shout out to Dr. Mason West. Make sure you holler at him on Twitter. He's West Sports PT on Twitter. And you guys, thank you again for being here, man. Don't forget, come on, jump in with us right after Hard Knocks. We will be reacting to that show, man. And if we said anything today and during the show that you thought was a poignant issue or a good point, give us a like for that reason. If you're not a subscriber to the channel and you like this content today and you like the idea of being a part of this community moving forward, subscribe to the channel. And if you're willing and able, become a member. It's only $4.99 a month, and you'll help a really good channel grow and spread its wings and become what you think it could be. But with that being said, we got to get out of here because we got to get ready for the Hard Knocks episode tonight. What is everybody laughing at, man?
This is that comment.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh man!
Say that one. You gotta.
That's its own podcast.
I can't even do the close without these guys acting up, and I'm like, "What are they laughing?" Oh, that was a good
Junior.
Now Junior's just lying because he knew Jessie was hot as all get out. Yesenia, she was hot as all get out. Dominican girl,
even with the one eye.
even with the one eye.
Her name is Jessie.
Oh, I'm gonna get you out of here, Sean, because this is gonna get carried away. But that being said, guys, I gotta make sure I leave you with these famous words. And as Bears fans, this is where I got to get you guys' mindset, get you on the same wavelength as me. Because if you can think it, Bears fans, and you can see it, Bears fans, why don't you just go ahead and manifest it, even if it means the Super Bowl? Go ahead and do it. Get the hell on out your own way. With that being said, we are